This is Mohammed for IFL TV, proudly sponsored by Everlast. With me is head of Sky Sports Boxing, Adam Smith. Obviously, a few days after his first show with Boxing, obviously, Wasserman were co-promoting that show as well. How's it been, Adam?
Yeah, really enjoyed getting started. Obviously, we've worked behind the scenes, Ben and I, for quite a while now. Really good team. Really enjoyed the collaboration. Fantastic having John Wischusen back, on the floor of a fight night, which was brilliant. We go back a long way, and I think the teams work really well together. Obviously, it was a difficult last 24 hours before the fight night started with Chris Eubank and that situation, but. As with everything in boxing, the show goes on, and I think we're very, very happy, very excited that we're off and running. It's the beginning of a big journey, and one that we're going to learn a great deal from, and one we're going to try different things out. But I thought the new look was really impressive, very fresh, and the boxing was really good, and lots of nice things to look back on, lots of things to work on too. And the numbers were fantastic, and I think that shows the reach of our platform, with everybody, the whole business getting behind us, and shows what we can do. So yeah, really, really impressive figures, and a great start.
Well, let's talk about those figures. I got an email from Sky Sports News PR, Jack McLean. Now, just to clarify something, when I put those figures out, people were dubious over them, etc. Obviously, they're really good figures. So I just want to clarify something. People saying, oh, who's this Jack guy, etc. This must be made up. You do know Jack, and he works for Sky. Is that correct?
I know Jack very well. Yeah, Jack has been working on our sports PR team for quite a long time now. He's a great guy, and yeah, I know him very well. And the head of Sky Sports PR is Stu Monwini, and yeah, the figures are very, very, very accurate. Don't worry about that. We had we had them on obviously the boxing on a number of channels. Over the course of the night, we were on Main Event, we were on Arena, and we were on Sky Showcase as well, which was something different for us. So yeah, but that's the combination of numbers is accurate. I think we peaked just over 400,000, and the sort of general sort of for the night was around about 300 all the way through, and certainly on Main Event I think it was almost 200. So there was some really, really nice figures, and yeah, as a total, it's the biggest since Khan Vargas, which I think was this time 3 years ago. So that's really positive, and as I said, it just goes to show when the business get behind you, what we can do, because obviously boxing is a part of Sky Sports's arsenal, a part of our delivery. Obviously there's the Formula One, there's the cricket, the golf, there's the Premier League, which is second to none, and there's huge amounts of great figures on the back of football. So we used that, and we came off the Arsenal game, which was important, and we'll continue to use the Premier League, the football, to cross over that casual power, I think. And yeah, we can do that, but it's not just that. It was on Sky Showcase over the weekend, and with Sky Sports News, the digital social platforms, and the whole sort of breadth of Sky as a business under the Comcast umbrella, of course, as well now, which makes it doubly powerful. It's really useful to have the business supporting us. And I think, as I said to you before a few times, I think the difference with going with Ben now in this new era with Top Rank as well, and these new sort of 4-year deals, is that while we felt supported by the business before, and boxing always has its big nights and then its more tradie nights, I think now we feel the whole sort of the real width, the real sort of arms around us, and it feels as though we're gonna just take these things to another level, hopefully, and be bigger and stronger going forwards. It is the beginning. It is early days. It is embryonic. There are things we're going to get wrong. There are things that we have to deal with, like the Chris Eubank opponent situation at the last, on the Friday night, which was very difficult for all of us. But especially for Chris himself, when when he was obviously taken off the bill. But these things happen in boxing, and obviously, two new teams working together, Sky and Boxer. We had Wasserman as well with their promotional arm. Obviously, Chris Eubank is their fighter. So, co-promotionally with Wasserman. But for us in Boxer, that's the journey for Ben and I, and with Top Rank. I saw Todd a couple of weeks ago. He came over. We just announced the Crawford Porter fight on Sky Sports as well. It's going to be a huge night on November the 20th. And it's really exciting working with 2 new companies, and they're very excited. So we, as I said, there will be teething problems, but we'll work, and we're not in a rush. This is a journey, and we're very aware of the huge competition around us over at BT, over at DAZN, and we want to make sure we get it right for Sky and for our customers. First and foremost, the fans and the fighters are at the forefront, which is why we had to make a really important decision on the Chris Eubank situation, and one that I'm pleased that we did, and we move on, and we delivered a good night of boxing for the fans, great atmosphere on the night at Wembley Arena, and obviously a lot of viewers, and I've had great feedback from many people that have watched it and thought it was, a breath of fresh air, something new, something different, and that's what we're trying to do.
Adam, were you surprised in a good way at how high those figures were? Obviously, Amir Khan, you said, got the last highest figures on Sky, which was against Vargas, as you said, in 2018. So obviously you've had some massive fight nights on regular Sky subscription since then. So are you pleasantly surprised with those numbers?
Extremely pleased. Not necessarily surprised. I've always known what the platform can do with the right, as I said, support, work, use, and great deal of effort is going in, and will continue to go in to really help drive the new era of boxing on Sky Sports. I think with Chris Eubank as well, and the fact that news was announced on the Saturday that he wouldn't be fighting, I think quite a lot of people certainly called me up, said, well, the show's off then. No, the show still goes on. So I think, the fact that he was off, which obviously Chris is a big name and a big attraction, and we still delivered those sort of figures. I mean, if Chris was on and we hadn't had that hiccup at on the last day, who knows what the figures would have been? They could have been much bigger even, but I think they were extremely strong. And the good thing for us is that people stayed with it and they watched the show. And I think on the show, we have Richard Riakporhe, somebody who's got great personality, great story, great power, coming back into the ring after a couple of years out. You have the really good eliminator for the English super middleweight title between Jermaine Brown and Jamal Ledoux, which I think was a really good fight, and a chance for them, to get their names out there as well, and for people to see, different, maybe unheralded fighters, but they didn't know about them, fighters that have got good records that haven't been seen as much on television yet under the lights. So it was a real chance for them. And Ebony Jones, fantastic debut. I was really excited beforehand because I know she was itching to get back in after a long time out. The army girl, the one that drives the tanks, and look how she drove herself forward through 6 rounds. It was sort of Mike Tyson-esque, wasn't it, her style? And I always thought she'd be a really good addition to the pro ranks. And I know Karis and Lauren were watching at home, and they were really excited to have her up and running. So that's a great story. She came out with a cowboy hat on. She really, she's really going to have a fun career, I think, Ebony. And then, you go into a fantastic European title fight. Liam Taylor gave it everything for the short amount of time he was in there. And David Avanesian, a level or two above, and proved that he's world class. We know he's a former world champion, but such a heavy division, such a talented division. Quite ironic, on the same night we announced the Crawford Porter fight on Sky, which is a big fight this year, and one we're really pleased to be involved in. And the chance for David maybe to get amongst them and carry on. I felt for Liam Taylor because I thought he gave it such a go, didn't he? But ultimately, it is about levels of sport, and I think Avanesian proved that he is, he's pretty top draw. Maybe not elite welterweight, but certainly very high, and deserves the opportunity to go in with the big guns now, I think. So it was good. So we had a great action to sort of finish it, and I was really pleased with the show.
We know you move on to October 16th in Newcastle with another big bill. But as you said, I do want to talk about November 20th, a massive night for Sky. Let's just point out first that Crawford Porter is on your regular subscription. It's not pay-per-view, which is great news to watch late in the night. And obviously you've got a show here in the UK as well with Richard Riakporhe headline, and also Florian Marku back in action on Sky. So you must be really buzzing for November 20th, Adam.
The windows.
Yeah,
So
I
I
can't
just,
hear you anymore.
that's weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's such a beautiful day, Umar. It's such a beautiful day. Let me try and how about
There
that?
you
Is that a
go.
little bit better?
I got you
There's,
back now.
there's the
Yeah.
there's the bottle of ketchup in the background. You may not know me well enough, but I'm a massive ketchup
Oh, yeah.
fan. So
Yeah, you're back now anyway.
there we go. There we go. So yeah, no, I was saying November 20th is fantastic, isn't it? You know, Crawford Porter, one of the best fights of 2021, and then a huge show back home as well. Richard Riakporhe, yes, it was good to see him back. I think he was sort of, mixed reaction about his own performance, afterwards, that he was saying. I think he felt it, it was a struggle getting the little gloves back on, getting the timing right, and he's been out a long time, but he got the job done. He got the rounds under his belt, which was really impressive, and I think we can go from strength to strength with Richard. One of the top cruiserweights obviously around, and it's just a fantastic story. So looking forward to seeing him return so quickly. And then we've also got Florian Marku, and you talk about characters in the sport, and I was seeing the flags around Tottenham Stadium the other night when he gave, I think, his best performance. And Florian, of course, is one of those boxing personalities with a huge fan following, and also plenty of ability. And so he's a firecracker, isn't he? Looking forward to having Florian back. And there's so much else as well. Caroline Dubois about to turn with us, and we're really excited about the first stages in her exciting professional career, and so much more. So yeah, big night, November the 20th. But as I say, they all are, and it's great to really get going and have a meaty schedule on for the autumn winter on Sky Sports, as you said, not on Sky Sports box office. Box office events are carefully chosen, as you know. We had a wonderful one with Anthony Joshua and Alexander Usyk at Tottenham. Looked incredible, phenomenal story. Usyk, the new world heavyweight champion. All eyes obviously will be on Fury and Wilder in the heavyweight division this weekend. And when we go back into a Sky box office event, Sky Sports box office event, we want to make sure that it's absolutely right, and it's at that level. We talk about levels in boxing. We mentioned Avanesian and Taylor earlier. It's levels as well in what we think with Sky Sports box office. But Sky Sports to have the likes of Josh Taylor and Chris Eubank, and Crawford and Porter and Lomachenko hopefully back in December before the end of the year. Phenomenal fighters, so really good value for customers, and we hope everyone will enjoy it.
Adam, I do want to ask you about the heat map you used on fight night. Obviously, I didn't see it because I was there, but there was a lot of talk about that on social media, and it did gather a bit of criticism. I know you said you're trying new things and testing things. So yeah, just your comment on the heat map specifically.
Yeah, I think that's more one for Matt Macklin, because he's a fighter that's been in the ring, and he was looking at it and thinking, right, what are we going to get out of this? Because obviously, if the pattern a fighter is on the outside, or a fighter is taking center ring, it's pretty much there in front of you. I think where these things might work better is where we store some data, and we see it from performance to performance over a period of time. Also, maybe when a fighter gets cut and has to change the tactics. Everything we're doing is to try and bring boxing closer to the customer, the viewer, the spectator. It's a sport we're very privileged to have amazing access to our fighters, men and women. We're able to tell their stories almost better than the footballers or the cricketers. We're privileged. I think you would say that, and I certainly know that we can get closer to them than probably any other sport. So really trying to do that with technology as well, innovation. We have the trainer cam too. There's other things that are being worked out in the Sky Labs, in the Sky workshops, by people far brighter than me, far brighter, far more intelligent. They know what they want, and I think we've got to try a few things out. So yeah, anything that we do which is different, obviously it might attract criticism, it might not be right, but we're gonna try these things out, and we'll see what works and what doesn't work. And I think the key is that we're going to bring new innovation in, new look, new creativity, new fresh feel, some different talent. Maybe Vidal Riley started with us on Saturday night. These are all works in progress. As I said, we're not going to do it all at once. Rome's not built in a day. Let's take our time. Let's try things out. Let's experiment. But the most important thing is we get good fights, good nights, good cards, a great schedule, And that's what we want to give on Sky Sports. So yeah, we're very aware of the other competition out there. We're very aware we don't have everything. We're starting again. We lost the fighters that matched them to DAZN. You know, Ben signed and John Wish have signed some really good young fighters, some that haven't sort of had that star sort of under the lights feel yet, and they're just getting used to it. So let's take our time. Embryonic, as I said, a work in progress, but a very good start. We're up and running. And on to Newcastle.
Absolutely, on to October 16th. As I am with everyone in boxing this week, Adam, I've got to ask you about Fury Wilder 3. But just before that, Tyson's made some comments on BT this week that he's offering to give you know what I'm going to ask, give his help to Anthony Joshua in preparation for that rematch for Alexander Usyk and essentially train him. What do you think about that?
Well, Tyson comes out with some fantastic comments, doesn't he? I'd love to see him work with Anthony Joshua on that. I mean, that would be some shoot that we both want to be at, wouldn't it? I think he's got, as he knows, he's got his own concerns this weekend. He's got a massive fight. Yes, it's part of a trilogy. Yes, I felt that he won the first fight, and I was at the second fight. It was one of the great performances of any British fighter on foreign soil. He was fantastic. Did exactly what he said he'd do, and completely dismantled Deontay Wilder. So you'd have thought the third fight would be maybe somewhat of not a foregone conclusion in the heavyweight world, but obviously Tyson starts a huge favourite, and many people would feel that it's going to go a similar way. You can't count Deontay Wilder out. You can't count his punch power out at any moment. You know, I've been lucky enough to have followed Deontay and been ringside for many of his fights. And, you know, Luis Ortiz, take that one, the second one, you know, when he was basically losing every round and one shot and it's all over. So Tyson knows that, you know, the miraculous recovery in the 12th round of their first fight. He knows that. He knows it's there's one punch that can change anything. And obviously in heavyweight boxing, we know that. You know, Lennox Lewis being knocked out by both Oliver McCall and Hasim Rahman, and then exacted revenge on both of them. These things can happen in boxing. So yeah, you've got to feel that Tyson will find a way to come through again. But Deontay seems really calm. He seems to have put a huge amounts of preparation in. And I think you've got to look at is that Shelley Finkel always told me this fight would happen, that there would be the third fight. They wouldn't have AJ Fury. So Deontay's just been concentrating on one person for all this time. Tyson obviously thought he was going to fight Anthony. You know, he had the difficulties with his daughter. Thankfully, everything seems okay now, and that's the most important thing, his family. He's been back and forth a fair bit, so maybe preparation hasn't been ideal. However, you know, he's the natural boxer in there. He's proved himself time and time again as being phenomenal, and you know, he should have the talent to be able to deal with Deontay Wilder. But if he switches off for one moment, then it's lights out and it's good night, and he knows that. So yeah, I favour Tyson to come through, but it wouldn't surprise me if something like that happened. And you know, Tyson knows that himself, so he's got to be very, very careful. I swapped messages with both of them last week, and they both seem in a fantastic place. I really like the way Tyson was talking about Anthony, and the fact that, you know, he lost a fight, and you know, people should be off his back and he can come again. And you know, it's boxing. You know, you win some and lose some, and I think that Alexander Usyk was just phenomenal that night. And yeah, a lot of attention as to what went wrong and what Anthony didn't do. But I like to think about what Alexander Usyk did, and he had a style that was fantastic, and he used his southpaw skills brilliantly, and he took his opportunity. So Anthony can come back from that, of course, to go straight into a rematch. And what if Tyson Fury turns up either to spar with him or train with him? I mean, we'd all be camping out, wouldn't we? So let's see what happens in Vegas this weekend. I was talking to Freddie Cunningham the other day, and I said, look, it's great that Anthony wants to get back in the gym or whatever. If I was him, I'd take a break and, you know, just take a bit of time off and, you know, assess the situation and, you know, see what happens on Saturday night, and spend some time with his son, you know, and just chill out for a bit, and then get going again and back on the horse. And could he become a 3-time champion? Will Tyson Fury have to do it all over again if he loses on Saturday night? I mean, few people would have picked Usyk and Wilder to come through this sort of semi-finals, would they, and make AJ Fury maybe further away? But you never know in heavyweight boxing. That's the brilliance of it. But yeah, I think I'd be surprised if Tyson didn't find a way to come through again. But then, as I said, there's not really a surprise in heavyweight boxing. And certainly Deontay Wilder is probably the biggest single puncher in the heavyweight division. Well, I don't know, since Ernie Shavers, not sure how you can really monitor it, but Mike Tyson obviously was a phenomenal puncher, but a lot came in combinations. I mean, a single right hand, not sure we've seen that for a long time. So, write him off at your peril. But yeah, I think Fury should do it again.
Okay, Adam Smith, thank you very much for jumping on IFL TV as always. Best of luck with your fight night in a couple of weeks in Newcastle, and obviously we'll get a catch up then. All right, thank you.
Look forward to it, Umar. Take care.